Hello and welcome to our radio. Today is 23rd December 2020 and we have some important topics to talk about. First, we'll talk about how the parliamentary panel has proposed a new comprehensive public health law or the Public Health Act to fix the problems in our healthcare system. We have to understand the fact that the Indian healthcare system is pretty much in shambles and it was exposed with the COVID-19 pandemic about the problems that we were going through with regards to public health policy or the public healthcare system. The National Health Profile of 2019 pointed out the fact about the number of hospital beds or the number of doctors per patient ratio, the number of nurses to patient ratio. All these problems were significantly pointed out. We saw that there were only 0.55 government hospital beds per 1,000 patients. We saw that there is severe underinvestment when it comes to public health expenditure, and we see that less than 2% of our GDP is being spent on public health care. We have over reliance on private healthcare, which is not regulated properly. This scenario gets worsened in the rural areas. Now, this new law aims to curb this profiteering mechanism and have a robust and a cashless predominantly healthcare system. And this law also aims to address the structural asymmetry with guided policies and measures. India has taken the target to achieve sustainable development goals, and this in this aspect we were trying to fulfill the idea of right to health, and this is a very important thing. There are several observations that have been made with regards to the healthcare in India. There is absence of insurance cover for segments for certain segment of citizens. They are not covered under insurance due to various reasons. There are some policies which provide insurance to some policies provide insurance to another. This is specifically the older citizens, and we have also seen that several patients were turned away during a pandemic like COVID-19. And what is prerequisite or what is important here is that the government should play a very, very important role, and the government should take an important stance when it comes to this kind of pandemics, when it comes to vaccines, when it comes to drugs, so on and so forth. So this legal reform will be a time-bound transition from a fragmented healthcare system to a complete and proper healthcare system. This will universalize the healthcare system in the country. It will not rely too much on the private sector and will also help to universalize healthcare system in the right regard, in not in a very fragmented way, but in the right regard, and it will help to raise the public health expenditure, which is less than 2%, which will be the basic. If that is done in the right way, everything will be falling into place in the right regard. The second article we are talking about is about political accountability in a democracy. Now, the author quotes examples of several leaders who failed at their job, is what the author is saying. He quotes the examples of countries like USA, UK, Brazil, India, and Russia. The roles that these leaders played exposed the way the countries are being governed and the problems that the countries are going through. See, let's say US, where Donald Trump played a key role. After that, he was, he lost the elections and Biden was elected. Even then, we saw how Donald Trump neglected the way lockdowns should be done and other things. Then we saw UK, which happens to be one of the worst affected countries. And then Brazil, where Mr. Jair Bolsonaro ignored the idea of having a lockdown in the right way, and then he just opened the country and exposed million people to the COVID-19 virus. And then Russia, where Vladimir Putin was more concerned about having what you can say a vaccine as such, but not a public health policy. And lastly, in India, where an immediate unprecedented lockdown was imposed without considering the wrongs that people will go through and the problems they'll suffer from. So these kind of things have been spoken about with regards to how leaders failed at their job and how the pandemic exposed the kind of the health preparedness that these so-called developed countries or developing countries had. Now, this brings out the fact about political accountability in a democracy, about how these political leaders are accountable. Are they really accountable? If yes, how are they accountable? What are they doing in this regard? How are they moving forward in this regard? Are some questions that arise. Now, we should have specific answers to this, but we don't. But political accountability in a democracy is very important. As you know, all these countries are democracies. USA, UK, Russia, all these are democracies. And here what we see is the process of choosing your leader, how you elect your leader. The process of voting comes into picture, where, voting we are doing today, we are electing our leaders, and we are not voting on the basis of the performance of the leader and the basis of the decisions taken by the leader rather than the charismatic personality and the way his appeal is there, or how we don't want our opponents or someone who's away from our ideology to get elected. So this is the way we are choosing our leaders, and as a result we are not getting the right kind of results, is what the author is saying. And who we vote becomes important, why we vote becomes important, and who we choose as our leader becomes important. Now, if you talk about the COVID-19 pandemic, it widely exposed the healthcare systems, it widely exposed how poverty is existent, it widely exposed how there's class disparity among the leaders, among the perception of the leaders, among the people of the country, and how draconian laws are coming into picture. So these people have to be accountable, and political accountability is very, very important for a democracy to function, be it India or any other country. And when we see this COVID-19 pandemic and how these leaders managed it with a charismatic personality and not with the right kind of policies, tells a lot about the existence of political accountability in a democracy. Going further, in the last discussion for today, we'll talk about the 5 years of Paris Agreement. So on December 12th, we completed the 5 years of Paris Agreement, and the world attended the Climate Ambition Summit. India attended it, and one of the biggest support for India in this was the European Union in the Climate Ambition Virtual Summit. Now, this Climate Ambition Summit spoke about how we need to go ahead better. And now the biggest problem that we are facing is the COVID-19 pandemic. The fact about the COVID-19 pandemic is that it provides us a lot of space, it provides us a lot of leeway to have a growth, to have a recovery. And here what we can do is we can have green recovery and green growth. So stronger action is needed towards having a green recovery, not just brown recovery, and green growth. That is, we are focusing more on environment, ecology, biodiversity, etc. Now, if you talk about European Union and its progress towards the ambition set for it in the Paris Agreement, European Union in the year 2019 came up with the European Green Deal, through which they plan to achieve the climate neutrality by 2030. How they did this? They did this by government allocations, good budget allocations, strong budget allocations, and they did it by coming together and finding better solutions to the problem. These are the good things that European Union did, and India is not back. India has done some amazing progress. India has done some great, remarkable things. One of them is the International Solar Alliance. That is the alliance of the countries that are harnessing solar energy. Then we are a part of this Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. We have put that forward to fight disasters. And then we have the Leadership for Indian Industries Transition. We are part of that. And now we are participating in the COP26, which is going to be held in Glasgow. COP15 for the biodiversity, which is going to be held in Kunming. All these places we are participating. And here we are aiming at teamwork and shared strategic cooperation. What we need more is better cooperation in better funding. If the funding is better, then the solutions can be definitely better, is what the author is saying. So the thing that we should aim to do is build back better, not just build back in a small or just a push manner, but we need to build back better, and we need to involve various people. This should be an inclusive growth, inclusive building back. Should not just focus on the wider part of it, but then the strategic and the most smallest significant part of it as well, where we need to mobilize participation from not just government, but also you can say scientists, policy makers, academicians, bureaucrats, civil society organizations. They should all come together to fight this big, humongous challenge called as climate change. Well, that's it from today's R Radio, guys. Thank you so much for staying tuned. I hope you enjoyed today's session. If you have any doubts, write to us in the comment section. Until next time, stay safe, take care, bye-bye.